So once again, I wanted to share with you the state of the game, what progress I've been making, what I've been working on over the last month. And if I'm honest, January was a pretty busy month with the day job, so work on the game's been pretty slow and sporadic at best. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the state of the systems of the game. Most of the code, the functionality is there. Certainly needs to be fine-tuned and polished and polished and polished. But things are in place. So what this meant is that I've turned my focus to building models to starting to fill up the world. And as you can see here, one of those models that I've been working on is a steamship. And the steamship is going to function as the player's gateway into the game. It's going to drop you off into a new town, into a place that you don't know. You're not going to have any friends. You're not going to have a job. You got to go figure out what's going on. As well, I've also been working on some new buildings. You can see here that I've been working on some new brick warehouse-like buildings. These will potentially function as I said, a warehouse or maybe a shop or some sort of industrial building. I've also been working on a few road surfaces, working on some like cobblestones, also some more traditional paver stones, just trying to play around with different ideas and different ways of representing the roads. So let's go ahead and jump over to the other scene where I've been doing a lot more testing with scripts and NPCs. So over here, another kind of test scene. This is where I've been building up a lot of stuff. You can see a few more of the tree models that I've been working on. You can see some of the grass. With the help of the Discord community, I've been working on some different grass styles, and this is some low poly grass meshes. This is not a special shader. I was playing around with shaders earlier, and I kind of like the look of this. One of the things that I have to balance here is not just the look of it. I need to make it look good, but I also need to balance the performance. And so far, these are in pretty large clumps. This clump here is probably 1 or 2, 3 clumps at most. And the performance seems to be pretty good with occlusion culling and LODs, so I'm pretty happy with that. You can see over here that I've been working on some NPC jobs. So here's a farmer. He had planted these carrots, and now they are full grown. He's collecting them. You can see that animations are a little off. Over here, you can see a guy mining. He's apparently forgotten his pickaxe. This guy over here who's staring at the stump, emptying the empty stump, is our logger. He is our lumberjack. He has also forgot his axe, and he also stands in the middle of the tree. So there's definitely some bits and pieces that need to get worked out. So this guy's going to cut the tree down. It falls. Once it's come down, he's going to then chop it into pieces. So once he does that, he'll then collect the pieces. He's pretty slow. The timing needs to be worked on, but it's definitely working. Over here, another very important job. This guy who's got a cube around his waist. There you go. You can see his cube. That is the store vendor. So you can click on him, say I need to do some shopping, and you can purchase things. You can also see there's some tree branches here, some rock ore, iron ore. These are things that have been sold by these other NPCs as part of their job. This other guy, another very important job over here, is this guy here who's just walking back and forth between the market and these placeholder meshes over here. And this guy, this is the import-export merchant. His job is to go to all the vendors and buy up any extra supplies. He'll also very likely deliver supplies if the vendor is out of those supplies. He then comes back to this. This like resembles the port. This will be the wharf that we saw earlier, and he sells those to that shop, and they get exported. And so that functions really importantly as a game mechanic, as a resource sink. So any excess, any excess rock or lumber that's getting produced by these NPCs doesn't saturate the market, and it gets taken out of the economy. And in the process, the merchant also brings in money into the system. So when they buy that, when he buys those supplies, he's paying for them, obviously, and that money goes to eventually to the NPCs and to the vendor. So that's a lot of what I've been working on over here. A few other smaller systems that I put in place here is a tree manager, and that is that's a script that's going to basically watch over all of our trees. And so you can see that we have different sized trees. These are kind of small. These are larger trees. And we definitely want those trees to be able to grow. And rather than have those trees grow, have their scale change every frame, this manager simply keeps track of what trees are out there. It then keeps track of last time they grew and calculates when they need to grow again. When that time has arrived, when it's time for them to grow, this manager sticks them into a queue, and then the manager then checks every once in a while to see, hey, can the player see that tree? If the player can't see a tree, and it needs to grow, then let's grow it. And again, the idea of that was a couplefold to avoid the tree popping while visible to the player. The goal behind that was two ideas. Was one, we didn't want the tree to grow in front of the player. We didn't just want it to pop up a size in front of the player. The other piece was that we don't want to take the performance hit of having all of our trees growing every frame. We don't want to slowly increase the scale, the transform of every tree in the scene. That's just not going to be very happy performance-wise. So what we do is we grow the tree when the player can't see it, and then we grow it by integer scales. So we're going to go from scale 1 to scale 2 to scale 3, and each tree is probably going to have 3 or 4 growth stages, going from these small trees down here to a large tree. What I haven't quite worked out yet is how trees will plant themselves. I think the player NPCs will be able to do that, but there probably will be a natural process as well that the trees eventually or occasionally will plant a seed and more trees will grow. Other piece that the tree manager does, it coordinates with the environmental manager, and so as the trees grow, they start with these small little trees and they'll grow up. As they grow, they're pulling CO2 out of the atmosphere. And when they're cut down, obviously, they're no longer pulling CO2 out of the air. So what that means is that when the player or NPC is chopping trees down, they are going to have a direct impact on the environment around them. That will have the effect of changing how much energy is stored, just like it does here on Earth. The increased CO2 changes how the energy is stored coming from the sun. And so the intent is that if you just log the whole continent and you burn it all, you're going to have some CO2 problems, which will change the climate, change the farming, change the rain cycle, change the snow. So that's pretty much what I have been working on in this month. Next month, mostly is going to be focused on fleshing out the world, adding in all these meshes, building up the world, building up the small towns. And so there you go. That's what we've been working on. If you like what you're seeing, give the video a thumbs up or leave a comment. If you got ideas for the game or want to get involved in the development of the game, feel free to leave a comment below, or better yet, join the discussion over on Discord. You can do that at discord.onewheelstudio.com. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope to see you next month.